Okay, welcome back everybody to another episode of Vintage Vera. I'm having so much fun. I've had so many comments on people say, oh, I remember that and I remember this. And you know, I've always said I feel like those people that were customers of ours through the years actually had a brick in the building. You know, I wouldn't have been able to do it without great customers, great friends and associates that helped me through these 35 years. So we ended last time in the year 2002 where I just opened up the cafe. So let's kind of pick back up where we left off with 2004. And that's when my accountant looked at me and said, you know, Vera, you're spending all your profit keeping your business alive in the summer because there were no holidays for shipping cakes and it was too hot to get married here in Augusta, Georgia, and so my wedding business was off. And I thought, well, you know what? I could go back to being that home ec teacher, which it was my first job, and I could bring children into the building and we could do a cooking camp. And you know what? Now we're going into year 17 this summer. So that has really been quite a big part of our company brand. And then we started getting featured in all kinds of magazines. And you know, it was just like an idea I had one day. I thought, you know, if I could get written up in a magazine, more people would know more about our business. And of course, the internet was kind of new then and people were, you know, starting to learn things that way, but magazines were still a really big part of how you introduced your business. So to have editorial features about us was a really big deal. So in 2004, we got featured in Better Homes and Gardens. And in the day, that was like huge, big deal. And they featured our red velvet cake. And then in 2005, I'll never forget, both of my sons were at Georgia. John was a senior, Daniel was a freshman. And I called him and said, boys, guess what? I'm going to be in Sports Illustrated. Well, it was like silence on the end of the phone because I think they thought I might have been in a swimsuit, but that wasn't it. The Augusta National was featured in that magazine that year, and they said, give us the name of another business in town that you would like to feature, and they recommended me. So I was really thrilled about it. It was just a great article. That same year, their In Style magazine featured us, and we were actually featured in about 5 different magazines along the next few years that they did. One of those was Oscar de la Renta. That letter that he wrote to me is actually in the cookbook, but they did an article and asked famous people what would be your favorite gift to receive in the mail. And Oscar de la Renta said it would be a caramel layer cake from VeryVera, and actually wrote me a note about it. So that really took our business off too. We started selling through other mail order catalog opportunities. So Saks reached out and said, we'd love to feature you in our food catalog. Another magazine, Veranda, I sent them cakes for 8 years. And finally they wrote an article and there were 6 pages of our cakes in that article. And we actually shipped those cakes to Dallas, Texas for photography in the month of July. So as you can see, they all looked beautiful. Then Neiman Marcus picked us up in their catalog, and that was like the real big deal because they were noted for their holiday catalog to have food in it. We began selling in Costco in 2009, and that came by way of somebody calling and posing as the buyer for Costco and said, we would love to sell your products, would you send us some samples? And when they came up from the packaging department to tell me that that had happened, I thought, well, I'm going to call the guy back. Well, it was a wrong number. Long story short, it was a whole bogus order. And so I wrote a letter to Costco and said, you might want to know that this is going on. And the VP for buying called and thanked me for the letter and then said, what is it that you sell? And he said, well, would you like to make a presentation? And off we went. We did well and started selling in Costco with 3 of our casseroles. All right, so then the big day came when after 10 years of sending cakes to Oprah Winfrey, I got the call that they were going to feature us in their May issue. Unbelievable. We had never given up on hoping that that might happen. We made the O list. It was the only cover that she to this day has ever shared. She shared the cover with Michelle Obama. It sold more magazines than any other magazine they've ever done, and there was my strawberry layer cake. So sales for that cake went off the chart, and it just shows you sometimes that persistence pays off. And then lastly, Paula Dean has her magazine, and she actually did a feature story on us and all the different things that we did in our business. So as you can see, the magazine endorsements really had a lot to do with the growth of our business. And all it took was for me just to send a few cakes, to make some follow-up phone calls, and just to not take no for an answer. And so I really want to thank you for participating as we've gone through remembering and reminiscing about how we got the VeryVera brand started. And so come back with me in 2 weeks. We'll be doing our regular version on what's going on right this minute, but then we'll do our last version as we close out the year in celebration of our 35 years in business. So we'll see you soon.